Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual JForex, I will be making you familiar with the indicator named balance of power. This is a momentum indicator which can be used to determine the strength of any trend at that point in time. We can use this indicator to see whether the bulls are having an upper hand or whether the bears are in control. So we can use this indicator to define and determine the trend at that point in time. So this is an indicator, momentum indicator named BOP. We don't really have the description here. We will straight away head to the Visual JForex platform. This is the Visual JForex board developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. Here we can add this indicator BOP. So far we have seen these momentum indicators. Now it's the turn of the BOP. This is the last session of this week, and then in next week, starting from bull power, we will also be considering all these indicators one by one in coming session. Now coming to the balance of power, this indicator can be used to determine the entry and exit points. We don't really use this indicator as a trend identifying instrument. Rather than that, we can use this indicator in conjunction with other trend identifying indicator, and then we can use this for finding the opportune moments with the trend, and that's where this indicator is of high importance, as it gives us an idea of the underlying forces then and there, so we can determine whether to get entry at that point in time or whether to wait it out and simply sit on the sidelines. So we can use this indicator in a very convenient way to design the algorithmic setup to automate our trading. Here, compared to the indicators we have seen so far, we have to define only 3 input variants. We don't really have to define the time period for this indicator, as this indicator mainly deals with the underlying candle for that particular time period. So if we use the period of say 1 hour, then the BOP will be calculated for that hour only, so no prior data will be taken into consideration. That's why we don't have the input variable of the time period. So here on that single candlestick period, we can determine whether the bulls are in control or whether it's the time for bears. So we have to design this algorithmic setup while taking into consideration the underlying volatility and these sharp moves. This indicator keeps fluctuating from one side to another depending on how the price action is unfolding. As you can see from here, we had this BOP output for last hour in the bullish territory. The value above 0 is considered pointing to the bullish trend, and the value below 0 is considered as a pointer of bears being in control. And now in this hour we are seeing that again the output has dropped significantly below 0. That means the bears have taken control, and bulls are losing their mojo, and it's time to go for fresh trading opportunities. So here we have to use this indicator, as I said, with conjunction with other trend identifying indicator. If you use moving averages, you will get a fair bit of idea of what is the underlying trend of this particular instrument, and then with the help of that, and then after taking into consideration these indicators output values, whether the selling pressure is strong or whether the buying pressure is strong, we can determine whether to go for the trade then and there, or as I said, to sit it out. So you can use this indicator, and we have to be a lot cautious. So we get frequent moves from one side to another, so you can't really go for trading opportunities which are created day in day out if we were to simply trade with the simple idea that whenever the value crosses above 0 from negative territory, it should be considered as a marker of bullish tendency, and whenever the output for BOP drops below 0 from positive territory, then it should be considered as a negative sentiments sentimental trajectory, and in that case the too many trade signals will be generated, and that's why we have to use other indicators also to make sure that we are only trading with the trend and not going for against the trend trades, or we are not really making too many trade positions where the price action is simply choppy and not much of an momentum is there on the either side. So that way we can use this indicator, and it's an fairly useful indicator, and we can figure out the precise entry and exit point. Suppose if we think that we are using any other instrument setup, any indicator combination which might have given us an idea, for example that bearish trend has started. So whenever after that you can design a condition like whenever the value dips in the negative territory from positive territory, you will be going for a fresh short sale trade, and in that manner also you will be able to figure out pretty decent trading opportunities, and I think it should work well. But of course, as I said, we need to make sure that we have taken into consideration its shortcomings and then devise the way out of dealing with the shortcomings while exploiting its advantage of swift moves on either side. Now let us go back on the Visual JForex board. So here the underlying instrument has been defined as Euro USD, but you can change it at any point in time if you want to use this algorithmic setup for a different instrument. All you have to do is change this instrument from here to any of the pair listed here, and it will start working on that particular underlying instrument. The period of the candlestick here, this is given as 10 minutes, which can be changed as per your convenience. If you want to use 30 minutes, you can do that. If you want 5 minutes, you can do that. So all these time intervals till 1 month, monthly, are supported on the Visual JForex platform. For example, we keep it hourly. Shift whether you want the value for current hour or whether you want to know the value for say a couple of hours back, whether you are doing the comparison, whether you are analyzing the price moves in the recent past, you can use this shift input parameter to define and then gather gather the output data for that point in time. That's where this shift value comes handy. If you use shift 5, then given this time period is of 1 hour, the output value will be taken 5 hours back, and that output value will be used for further confirmation depending on how you are going to design the comparison, the conditions for doing the comparison. So after defining these input values, we get the output, the BOP, balance of power, and depending on how the price action is unfolding, we get the value either above 0 or below 0, and sometimes exactly at 0. And as I said, above 0 is considered as bullish, whereas below 0 is considered as bearish. We also have to define these other two conditions. We can do the calculation on either side, bid or ask, and then we have to use this applied price as well, and we have a formula for defining the BOP, and because of that we won't really need to do much of tinkering with this applied price. And here you might have noticed we don't get that editing option on the JForex platform, that is there only on the Visual JForex platform, but mostly we should use the closing price for this particular indicator. We can use different prices, but given its makeup, given how it is calculated, I think it will be appropriate to stick with the closing price for calculation here. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Have a fabulous weekend ahead. See you on Monday. Thank you for joining in. Goodbye.